if anybody kind of drops in, that's going to be absolutely fine. So welcome to the My Uni Experience series, and today we are talking about foundation years. So my name is Ellen, and I'm a Schools and Colleges Liaison Officer here at Royal Holloway. Hopefully you are going to be able to see me in just a second. It's going a little bit slow with the platform today. Hello. So yeah, my name is Ellen and I work at Royal Holloway, and today we're going to be talking about foundation years. So I'm just going to quickly show you exactly how the session is going to work. First things first, can you hear me? So you'll see a little chat function usually around the right hand side of your screen, and you'll see that you should be able to message organisers only. If you wouldn't mind, if you could just please type in the chat if you are able to hear me, that would be fantastic, so that you know, I can make sure that all of the technology is working and that I'm not talking to myself for the next hour. Oh great, I got some positive yeses. So that is really good. Okay, perfect. Great. So today's session, I'm going to talk for a little bit, probably about 15 minutes. We're going to cover a little bit of an introduction to foundation years, and then I'm going to talk specifically about foundation year options available at Royal Holloway. And then for the majority of the session, we're going to have two lovely student ambassadors who are going to be here to answer your questions. And that's going to be the majority of the time. So you won't just have to listen to, you know, slides and me talking. So if you do have any questions, please just post them in the chat and we'll get them to our student ambassadors. I know that some of you pre-submitted questions and we'll be asking those as well. So if we get started with just kind of a brief introduction to foundation years, I'm going to turn my webcam off so that we can focus on the slides. And hopefully you can see these slides and we can get going. So the question on everybody's lips, I think this is actually one of the pre-submitted questions that we had as well. What is a foundation year? Well, a foundation year is a one-year introductory level programme that is designed for students to get ready to study a subject at undergraduate level study. So it is only designed for 1 year, and you would attach it on to a 3-year undergraduate course normally. During your foundation year, you're taught about the particular subject that you'd like to study in the future, or the subject that you chose, but you're also taught a lot of really important skills and how to really kind of participate in university level learning, including how to do different types of assignments, and you get plenty of support while you're there. When you are a foundation year student, you are a fully fledged student, just like anybody else at university. You have access to all of the facilities on campus, and usually, depending on the university, you can live on campus too. A foundation year is covered by student finance, which means that you are able to get a tuition fee loan if you would normally be eligible for a tuition fee loan. That's most students in the UK. So you can apply for a student loan to cover all 4 years of your degree, and that's for 3 years of your undergraduate degree and your 1-year foundation year. So it is covered by student finance. Something that we should note is that there is a difference between a foundation year and a foundation degree. A foundation year is not the same as a foundation degree because it just gives you access onto an undergraduate degree course, whereas a foundation degree is its own qualification that is equivalent to 2 out of 3 years of an undergraduate degree. So when you look at the levels of education in the UK, a level 3 is A-level or equivalent or BTEC. And then you have a level 4, which is normally some apprenticeships. And then a level 5 is a foundation degree. And a level 6 would be an undergraduate degree. So you can see a foundation degree would be just below an undergraduate degree, but that is very different to a foundation year. And a foundation year is what we're talking about today. So by all means, if you think a foundation degree might be the right option for you, then I definitely encourage you to go and research it. But this particularly session, we're talking about foundation years because that's what we offer at Royal Holloway. Why would someone choose to take a foundation year? Well, there's a huge variety of reasons. Obviously, everybody's personal circumstances are different, and everyone can have kind of different motivations and different reasons for choosing to go to the university that they go to and choosing to do the particular course that they go to. Some common reasons why people choose to take a foundation year before their degree. You may feel like you need more support easing into higher education. So this could be somebody that has perhaps had a long break from education, perhaps you're a more mature student, and you feel like maybe it's been a long time since you were in a classroom and you want to have a little bit more of a kind of supportive introduction into learning again. On the other side, this could be somebody that maybe perhaps in this current situation with the pandemic feels like they've missed out on a lot of education, a lot of time in school, and they feel like they could really do with having a little bit more of a gentle introduction back into learning, and definitely helping with the step up from A-level to university. So that's definitely one reason why people choose to take a foundation year before their degree. Of course, another reason this might be the one that immediately popped into your head is that you may not have the required qualifications for your undergraduate degree. This could mean that maybe you didn't quite get the entry requirements and you don't get an offer for the degree that you'd like to do. It could also mean that perhaps you are studying subjects at A-level that they're not the necessary ones you need for a particular degree. Or it could mean that maybe you're studying overseas and the qualifications that you're getting aren't equivalent, or they're kind of not compatible with studying for an undergraduate degree in the UK. If this is the case, then you can take a foundation year, and then that will enable you to start an undergraduate degree at a UK university. And another reason it may be that you may not be sure about what you want to do. You may not be sure about studying. You may maybe school wasn't for you, or school or college wasn't for you, and you're considering university, but you're not 100% sure. You can do a foundation year to get a year-long experience of university, and a year-long experience of learning about your subject before you actually commit to a full 3-year degree. So again, that could be another reason why you choose to take a foundation year. And then along with that, you can have a look at the different benefits of a foundation year. So whatever reason you've chosen to do it, there are loads of great benefits, and hopefully our student ambassadors will be able to speak to this themselves as well. So of course, one benefit, as I said, you are a fully fledged student when you are a foundation year student. You're able to experience university life. Maybe that means moving away from home. Maybe that means, being more independent, joining societies and clubs and getting involved with all the things you think of with student life and everything that it has to offer. This, for example, could be maybe as an alternative to doing something like retaking your A-levels or something like that, or taking a gap year and retaking your grades. Instead of doing that, you'd be able to have basically an extra year of experiencing university life. You can also definitely benefit from your foundation year by developing skills. And these aren't just skills that are going to be useful in a classroom environment, but also things that are going to make you more employable. So things like learning how to organise yourself, time management, being able to write in a persuasive way if you're looking at a more humanities subject, or being able to problem solve if you're looking at more of a maths or sciencey subject. So there's plenty of skills that you're going to develop throughout your foundation year. As I've mentioned, one of the reasons why you might be considering a foundation year is in order to get extra support. And so that's definitely a benefit. You may feel as though once you've completed your foundation year and you're in year 1 of your undergraduate degree, excuse me, that you are more prepared than your peers for university level learning. You already know how to use the library, you already know what makes a great essay, you already know how particular labs work at your university, all those kinds of things. You're already going to have a step up, so you'll definitely feel more prepared for university level learning. And probably one of the most common benefits, one of the things that you would be swayed by most, is that most universities will offer a guaranteed university place at the end of your foundation year. So after you've completed, and as long as you have passed your foundation year, whatever the pass mark is for that particular university, then you will move on to start an undergraduate degree at year 1. So that's definitely a great benefit, because it means that if you were unable to do that kind of thing before because of your qualifications, or because you felt like you weren't ready, you're going to be, stamped by the university as somebody that is ready and that is prepared and is able to get a guaranteed place on your degree programme. So I've spoken a little bit more about foundation years in general there, and how they work across the country. But of course, we are from Royal Holloway, so what we know best is the foundation year programme at Royal Holloway. So I'm going to give you a little bit more detail of what that means and what that means at Royal Holloway. So our integrated foundation year started in academic year 2019-20, so it's a relatively new programme. And all of our foundation years are integrated into undergraduate degrees, which means that when you look at them on the website, you'll see that they are 4 years long. So for example, you might see history with integrated foundation year, and that would be a Bachelor of Arts, a BA programme, and that would be 4 years. So that's how it works at Royal Holloway. So you don't just kind of get a 1-year programme, you apply for the 4-year programme, and the foundation year is the first year of it. And then ideally you would pass that and go on to the next 3 years. As I said, it's great for people that maybe you don't have the right grades, you don't have the right combination of subjects, or somebody who's coming back to education after a break. And Royal Holloway does also offer an international foundation year, which is in conjunction with the International Study Group, and that is for international students, and that also focuses on English language requirements. So if you don't quite meet the English language requirements to study at Royal Holloway, then that international foundation year might be for you. We're not going to talk about that one specifically much today, but if you do want to know more, I can send you a link to the page. Some kind of highlights about our foundation year, and like I said, hopefully our student ambassadors are going to be able to kind of back me up on this one. You have great teaching and support from staff who are actually trained. A lot of the staff on the foundation year programme are actually trained to work with level 3, so that's A-level students. So they know exactly how to teach students that are at that level, which is fantastic. But you also get to work with academics who teach at really, really high levels as well, and who have world-leading research. So it's a great kind of combination there to help you transition. The programme is very carefully designed, and it's really designed to help you progress onto your undergraduate degree, as well as to help you develop employability skills. As I've mentioned, you'll be fully involved in campus life with the same access as every other student to all of our services and facilities. And by the time you move on to your first year course, you'll already be immersed in the community. Hopefully you already know everybody, and you'll feel confident to tackle and start your first year of your undergraduate degree. The way the integrated foundation year works at Royal Holloway is that it's separated into 2 streams. One is for the humanities and one is for the sciences. For the humanities, here are the subjects that you can take with an integrated foundation year. So you've got classical studies, comparative literature and culture, drama and theatre, English, film, television and digital production, history, liberal arts and philosophy. And here is a look at kind of what the outline of the programme plan is. So don't worry if this doesn't kind of all make sense to you right now. It's just to give you an outline of the types of things that you will be doing throughout your foundation year. So the main kind of module that both of streams of the foundation year teach is called Global Perspectives and Academic Practice. And that is run by our CDAS department, and they basically are there teaching you the core academic skills that you need to kind of thrive at university. So it's a really fantastic module, and that's going to be 2 hours and 2 hours of lectures and 2 hours of seminars per week in both the first and second term. Then you're also going to have some alternative modules, some cultures of reading, objects and rituals, cultures of looking in digital cultures. I'm going to send you a link to our foundation year pages after this webinar. So you're going to be able to look at all of these modules in more detail and see exactly what they mean, but this is just to give you a general idea. You're going to have a weekly personal tutor, a weekly tutorial with the CDAS team, who are going to be helping you develop your academic skills. You'll also have personal tutorials every 2 weeks with somebody from your department. So whichever subject you've chosen, let's say it's film, you'd have a meeting with somebody from the film department every fortnight. And you'd also get skills in classes in library skills. In term 3, which is a little bit different, you'll actually be working much more independently. You'll have a unit that you take that is related to your subject that you've chosen. So again, if you've chosen liberal arts, you'll be doing a liberal arts module. And then you'll be doing an individual project, again, that's based within your department, and you will be able to kind of work with other members of the foundation year degree and present that back at the end. So again, there's much more detail of these modules on our website, which I will send to you, but just to give you an idea of the types of things you'll be doing throughout your foundation year. The other stream is the sciences. So for Royal Holloway, that includes these. That's electronic engineering, computer science, computer systems engineering, maths and physics. And again, here is the outline for that. Very similar, you'll see you still have that global perspectives class for both term 1 and term 2. And then you have foundation maths classes, which are really, really important in order to get you up to the required level of maths for your future undergraduate degree. In the third term, you will be having a specific practical and lab skills according to your department. So if that is physics, for example, you will be going, specifically to the physics labs and learning how to manage that equipment. And then you'll also have an individual project as well that, again, you'll work with others in the foundation year kind of program to present something at the end. The entry requirements for our foundation year programs, at the moment we're advertising them as CCC, so that is A-levels or equivalent. Again, that will all show online what they are, but we do accept BTECs and other qualifications as well. We do ask for at least 5 GCSEs at grade A star to C, including English and maths. And if you would like to do a science stream foundation year, we do require that you're taking maths at A-level or at an equivalent level. Some fun facts about the Royal Holloway foundation year. As a student starting it, this is particularly for this year, but I'm sure that this kind of thing will go on in the future. You'll have guaranteed accommodation for both your foundation year and for your first year of your academic degree. So you get guaranteed a place in our accommodation should you want it. And if you're taking integrated foundation year, you are eligible for a 10% discount for your full degree year 1. So you even get a little bit of money off there if you go on to study your year 1 at Royal Holloway. After your foundation year, you have a few choices of what you'd like to do. You can stay on to your integrated foundation year course, so the one that you originally signed up to. You can swap to a similar course. It totally depends on what departments are offering. However, if you wanted to swap from something like classics to history or something that's quite similar, usually you'd be able to do that. Or if you'd like to, you can apply to another university. You know, having a foundation year degree should be enough to get you an offer at another university on an undergraduate course. You can apply to them through UCAS or through clearing. Whatever it is that you kind of prefer if you think that you wouldn't like to stay on at the place where you did your foundation year degree. Okay, so before we go on to our student ambassador Q&A, I'm going to send you some links. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and post these in the chat. Okay, so that is the link to the foundation year pages where you can see all the details of all of the courses that I've just mentioned. And so now I'm going to ask our student ambassadors if they wouldn't mind getting their webcam on. I will get mine on as well. And then we can start asking some of our questions. Oh, fantastic. Hi guys, hello, hello, hello. So if I'm going to just first ask you to introduce yourselves and just let us know who you are, what you're studying, and I know that both of you have done foundation year, so how does that relate to you? If you finished your foundation year, are you still doing it? And then we can start with our questions. So I'll start with Nathaniel.
Hi, I'm Nathaniel. I'm currently a first year computer science student, having done my foundation year last year. And I've switched ever so slightly from the integrated foundation year course to a integrated master's course of a slightly different specialty.
So stayed within the computer science, I'm guessing, but switched a little bit.
Just from normal computer science to computer science specializing in information security.
Fantastic. And Maria? Oh, you're just muted. Hang on.
Sorry, are you able to hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I just finished my integrated foundation year today, so I'm hoping to be where Nathaniel is next year.
Wow, congratulations. And what did you study?
Computer science as well.
Computer science. Okay, fantastic. So big computer science fans. If anyone has any computer science questions, you're definitely on the right call. Okay, great. So we have had some pre-submitted questions, so I'm just going to access those. Okay, so I guess this one is mainly for Maria because we already know the answer for Nathaniel. But what do you plan to do after your foundation year?
Definitely to move on to first year, and then maybe just carry on with the degree and do a master's as well. So this is a really good way to get into it.
Great. And so Nathaniel, you switched to a master's. So kind of why did you choose to do that? Want to tell us about your sort of motivations and why you decided to go down that pathway?
For me, I've always quite enjoyed learning things, particularly when it's things that I'm already interested in. I either hyperfixate on something or I'm just not interested from the beginning. So with the opportunity to learn not only a subject I'm very passionate about, but also in a way that I can personalize to myself rather than just learning for an exam, as you would in GCSEs and A levels, made me very excited to continue it further.
Fantastic. So am I right in saying that you're now on a 5-year?
It's actually 6 years because there's also a year in industry, which will be between my 3rd and 4th year.
Fantastic.
I'm never leaving.
No, sticking around at Royal Holloway for a long time. Okay, so we've had some questions in the chat. So upon applying to a foundation year, do you already select your intended undergraduate degree? So yes, so at Royal Holloway specifically you do. So you would select your intended undergraduate degree, and it would include an integrated foundation year. At other universities, it doesn't always work that way, but most of them, I would say, have the same kind of setup. But as we've seen, it is possible to slightly change your intended degree if after your foundation year you feel like maybe you'd like to do something a little bit different, or you'd like to switch to a different course that's within the same area. For example, you might not be able to swap from computer science to languages, but you might be able to switch from computer science to electronic engineering or something like that, because they have a lot of the similar modules within your foundation year. So yes, short answer, yes, you do select your intended degree when you apply. Okay, let's have a look at some of the pre-submitted questions as well. Okay, so what was the best thing about your foundation year? So I'll start with Maria.
It was definitely meeting the tutors and having the personal meetings with them, because I think it was the first time where they just focus sort of on a small group, or focus specifically on you and really help you develop and see where your weak spots are, and then you can really easily progress from there.
How about you, Nathaniel?
For me, because mine was last year, I benefited from the fact that we got up until March on campus. So for me, it gave me an opportunity to meet new friends, but also friends that were in a similar situation to me. So people who also didn't quite get the grades that they needed. So I didn't feel inadequate or anything. We were all just in the same boat. So it's just really nice to experience that.
Yeah, definitely. And so let's maybe talk, maybe I'll ask both of you, what made you choose a foundation year? Was it just, was it a decision that you made early on, or was it something that you made after you got your results? How did you sort of end up here? Nathaniel, you can go first.
So last year, what would that, 2019 to 2020 was the first year of the proper Royal Holloway foundation year as it is now. It wasn't actually an offered course at the time that I was applying through UCAS. What happened was my predicted grade was something like ABC, but at the beginning of my second year of college, my health issues got considerably worse to the point where I now am diagnosed with a lifelong disability. You can kind of see a folded up wheelchair in the background. And that led to a severe decline in my grades, particularly in maths. If I'd not gotten as what I needed in early history, it wouldn't have mattered as much as maths, but it was maths. So I didn't get into my first choice, which wasn't Royal Holloway. Royal Holloway is my insurance. And I called them up to basically say, hey, can you reject me already so I can go into clearing? And they said, yeah, it seems like you don't quite have the grades for what you've applied for, but we would like to offer you a foundation year. And it just turned out to be possibly the best decision that I could have gone forward with, bearing in mind my situation at the time.
Yeah, fantastic. I think it's really important to hear everyone's kind of stories, and you know, how coming out of it, how like you're glad that you made that right decision, but you know, it just kind of goes to show everyone's circumstances are really, really different. So how about you, Maria?
I didn't get to take the A levels because of the COVID situation, and I got my predicted grades. I think it was A, B, B. But then I didn't. I had some family issues and I couldn't take the mocks in December. So then my maths grades came to an E. So then I came to Royal Holloway in like when I was in year 12 for opening day, and I really liked the campus, the staff, everything. And then when I got my grades, I was waiting for them to reject me so I can see what I could do. But then they came with the letter, and I was so relieved and so glad. So yeah, likewise, this was the best decision I could have taken.
I think it's nice to hear when you're like, you're almost expecting them to reject you, but it's kind of like, oh, actually you can do this, you can still come. So yeah, that's nice. And again, it's good to hear that everyone's circumstances are different, but you've ended up, you know, in the place that you want to be. Okay, I've had a few more questions in the chat, so just bear with me, guys. I'm going to hopefully get to them. So after your foundation year, how do you progress to your undergraduate degree? Do you have to reapply through UCAS? Is there any additional work, anything that needs to be submitted? So Nathaniel, probably best to answer this.
Long story short, no. If you pass, there's like a thing called Campus Connect, and when it comes to about mid-July, you should get your grades for the final exams that you did, and then that will show your, I think it's called recommendation of progression or something like that. And that will come up like, congratulations, you've been accepted onto the next stage, and that's it. Once you get to August or so, you enroll again, you enroll every year, but at that point, it will just be confirming that none of your details have changed massively. So you don't have to go through UCAS again. You don't really have to contact Royal Holloway unless something has changed quite dramatically. It's pretty smooth.
Fantastic. Someone has asked if we offer joint subject foundation courses. So we don't. We offer them to, you go on to just one degree for your kind of undergraduate degree. However, when you are taking your foundation year, you're going to be with either in the humanities kind of group or in the sciences group, and you're going to be with students that are taking any of those subjects as their undergraduate degree. So most of the stuff, the modules that you're doing, are going to be relevant for any humanities subject or any sciences subject. And then when you get your offer to go, or like your kind of confirmation of acceptance, or you choose that you want to stay on at Royal Holloway, say for example you were taking English and you decided that you wanted to take English and history as a joint set honours for your undergraduate degree, you can ask to swap onto the joint honours programme. And because you've done the foundation year that covers both history and English, you should be absolutely fine. So while we don't offer that as something that you apply for, that doesn't mean that you wouldn't be able to kind of move onto a joint honours stream, as far as I understand it anyway. Okay, let's have a look. Is the library skills class a joint class between humanities and science students? That's a really good question. You guys will definitely know this answer rather than me. Any memory?
I believe it was in the sciences group and the humanities group, but it was also then split down into smaller groups so that you can't fit an entire sciences or whatever into one room of computers. So they'll split it down and you'll get into different time groups. But I am pretty certain that it was just sciences in my group.
Is any of the modules shared, or are you kept like not separate, but are your modules all separate between the two streams?
Global Perspectives was shared. The way that it was done for my year, although I know that some things have been changed since, so that may be one, so don't take me as like the gospel truth or anything, but the way it was done was one of the lectures would be a humanities-based lecture, and then the other one would be a more sciences-based lecture, and everybody would go to both. So you'd end up with, like, the humanities people would end up with a decent understanding of how the sciences work, and the sciences people ended up with a decent understanding of how to write an essay. But again, that might have been changed. So,
Maria, was that the same for you?
We've had with the skills, we've had a few similar ones, but then with the global perspectives, there's still two different lectures, but I haven't gone to the humanities one. I think you just do your science one and then you take your assignment for the sciences.
Okay, cool. Definitely, I would never have known the answer to that. So definitely glad you guys are here. Okay. Someone has said, what made you want to do a foundation year? I feel like we've already kind of covered like the circumstances of that, but maybe more so like, why did you choose to do a foundation year as opposed to like retaking your grades or, you know, a gap year or something like that? What particularly made you want to do a foundation year rather than another option? Maria, how about you?
I liked how structured and well organized it seemed. There was a lot of information on how it will work. And I felt like I would be well supported and gain a lot of skills that will prepare me for the undergraduate degree.
How about you, Nathaniel?
for me, with how everything had gone in my last year, my confidence was really knocked, especially in maths. So for me, retaking my maths degree sounded like the worst choice I could have ever made at the time. Probably would have gone fine, but you know, you're 18 years old, you're scared and everything. And then furthermore, I'd also gone to the university on 2 separate trips actually with my college to check it out. And I also loved the scenery, and it was relatively close to home. I'm only about an hour away. So it all just seemed to come together.
Fantastic. Okay, let's have a look. I have some more pre-submitted questions here. Okay, is it possible to work while studying your foundation year, or is the workload too much? Nathaniel?
So I'd say probably start of term 2, I applied for a job as a student ambassador. And the university / college has a policy where if you are currently taking any sort of course, you can only work a maximum of 20 hours a week. It's not averaged or anything, it's literally the hours that you work. And at all times, your degree should come first. Obviously, the university understands that different people have different financial requirements, but it is definitely possible to do it. but I would recommend taking a bit of time at the beginning to work out how long you're going to need for different pieces of work, figuring out how you work and what sort of pace you go at so that you can work around that rather than trying to work around your work.
Yeah, great advice there. Yeah, so it's a 20-hour per week limit apart from when you're not in term time. So in your Christmas or Easter or summer breaks, you don't have a limit on how much you can work. But yeah, it's basically made to try and make sure that students keep their degree as their #1 priority. Maria, did you have any experience? I mean, obviously you're a student ambassador. So how did you find kind of working while doing your foundation year this year?
I've been quite lucky because I could apply to be a student ambassador, but then because of COVID, I didn't actually get to work that much. We've only really started to work now. So I've done other things like translation or other things that don't take that much time. But also it's so great to be a student ambassador because you don't have a fixed schedule. You can decide when you have more time and, like you said, work around your schedule.
So kind of a short answer, yes, it's possible to work, but probably not more than 20 hours, and you have to make sure that you have enough time to complete your degree. It is a full-time degree at the end of the day, just as much as your undergraduate degree will be.
Oh, also something I forgot, that 20-hour limit includes any volunteering that you do. So you can't do 20 hours of work and then also volunteering under the university and college guidelines.
Thank you. We've had a question here again about work. Does Royal Holloway offer you help finding work? So yes, so we have a careers and employability service, and it's basically their job to help you find work. That means both part-time work, so whether in normal times that might be working at the bar or the coffee shop or something like that, or being a student ambassador, they can help you find part-time jobs, or they can help you with looking forward to the future and finding a graduate job, finding a placement, finding a year in business, all those kinds of things. So we do have a career service. It's fully accessible for all students, including foundation year students. At the moment, I believe everything's online. So you are able to access one-to-one appointments with careers counsellors. You're able to go to virtual careers fairs and speak to employers. And then when things are back to normal in person, they have jobs fairs every year at the beginning of term. They normally have a part-time jobs fair where anyone who hires students in the area comes and lets you know about the job opportunities. So yeah, there's definitely, and we also hire a lot of our own students. So that's why we have our student ambassadors here today. But I think there's something like 1,000 student jobs on campus every year. So yeah, obviously this academic year has been very different for everybody, but normally there's lots of job opportunities available, and there's definitely help finding work through the careers service. Okay, let me have a look. I think we've answered everything that's in the chat. Please do keep the questions coming if you have any more questions. I think I've answered everything. Oh, can you apply with your grades from your foundation year to a scholarship in your undergraduate degree? That's a really good question, and I actually, off the top of my head, don't know. I don't know if you guys have had any experience of that, or if you know anyone that's done that, or maybe if my colleague Amelia, who's in the chat, knows. I'll get back to you on that one, Sophia. Yes, I think we've covered everything in the chat apart from that one. And then in terms of the pre-submitted one, I had a question that says, if I'm currently not studying maths but want to study economics as part of a joint honours, is a foundation year a solution? So it's a tricky question because particularly for Royal Holloway, our sciences stream of foundation year requires you to study maths. So for us particularly, if you wanted to do one of the sciences streams, you would have to have studied or be studying maths. However, if you want to take our undergraduate degree in economics, you don't have to study maths, you just have to have maths at GCSE at a grade 7 or an A. So that might be a better entry level for you. but other universities may have different programs. We particularly don't offer a integrated foundation year for our economics course. So have a look and see if the economics course that we offer without a foundation year you might be eligible for. If not, then have a look at other universities' foundation year requirements. But for our probably the maths integrated foundation year would be the most suitable one for you. We do require you to have studied maths at A-level or equivalent. Okay, will you meet industry professionals in your foundation year, or will you be able to make any contacts? Have you guys had any experience in terms of maybe career advice or speaking with industry contacts or anything like that? Nathaniel, maybe you go first.
We just in foundation year, I don't believe so, but I think part of that was because COVID kind of came out of left field. Like I said, from about March onwards, all in-person teaching was cancelled. So anything that they had planned, they either had to very quickly switch online, which for most people wasn't possible, or just outright cancel it. So it may not be a perfect reflection on what they were planning to do.
Maria, I'm guessing your experience was probably the same.
It was similar, but they really made an effort to have lectures, even if it was from other teachers sort of teaching at university. And also, I think the career fairs, they've had a couple of Zoom meetings that I just looked on the website and I could join them. So those were quite insightful as well.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to add. So the career service do kind of panels. So they do panels for each industry. So they'll do like a technology week, a teaching week, museums and heritage week, that kind of thing. And they'll get alumni from Royal Holloway in to speak. So normally that would have been in person, but over the last year it's all been online. And so that's a really great way. You can kind of network with them and speak to industry professionals. And that's available to all students again. So no matter where you are in your course, you'll be able to kind of meet some industry professionals through that, but I don't think there's a particular program for it through our foundation year course. Okay, so Amelia has been kind enough just to double check your question about scholarships. I think it was Sophia's question. So we think that you would be eligible for scholarships, but I would definitely advise you to fill out our kind of admin form if you're specifically interested in that. Let me just send you a link here. This goes directly to our admissions department, and you can ask them. It's just when we have our scholarships applications, they have their grades in A-levels, and obviously with your foundation year being completed, your grades won't be in A-levels, they'll be in a percentage or they'll be a pass, etc. So it's not as obvious when you go to apply for scholarships if you qualify for them or not. So I would definitely recommend that you reach out to our admissions team, and I've just sent the link there. You can fill out a form and they'll get back to you. Does anybody else have any more questions from the chat? I've asked all of our pre-recorded, pre-submitted ones, and I think I've asked everything else in the chat as well. If I've missed one, please do feel free to post it again. Is there anything that you guys want to add? Do you have any kind of top tips for students that are considering doing a foundation year at Royal Holloway? Maria, maybe you go first.
Top tips is to take this option seriously and really look into it and see if it would be suitable for you. I know I've had some friends who took a gap year who sort of regretted it because they weren't as organized, whereas I feel like I'm quite prepared for next year. So it's just something to think about.
Definitely. Nathaniel?
I'd say much of the same, but also make sure to look into what exactly it is going into. So to check whether it would be something that you're interested in, for the modules itself, because different universities are going to do different modules for different foundation years. So if you're considering it, just look around at the different universities, because the Royal Holloway one might not be the same as a different one. and it just be whichever one works best for you.
Yeah, definitely. That's advice that we'd give for anyone looking at any university courses. You know, just because the courses are called the same thing, just because it's computer science, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be teaching the same thing as a different university. So the link that I sent you guys with to the foundation year pages will have the individual links to every single integrated foundation year course that we offer. And if you go down and click on course structure, that has the modules for the foundation year, but also the modules for the undergraduate degree. And when you see those modules, you can see descriptions of them, you can see the types of things that you can study. And that's a really, really important tip, because you might be a really keen, oh gosh, I feel like I've used history as an example loads of times. You might be a really keen physics student, and you might really, really be keen to learn about astrophysics, and then you might find out that the university you've gone to study your foundation year and then your integrated undergraduate degree doesn't actually have any professors that teaches astrophysics, for example. So, you know, double check with your all the modules for the following degree. I think it's a really good tip. So I had a question in the chat. Can you do a foundation year at Royal Holloway but move to a different uni after the first year? So in theory, yes, you can. Have you guys had an experience? Do you have friends that maybe did that or are planning on doing that?
Not personally.
I feel like once you're here, you wouldn't want to leave, but I think
but in theory, yes, you can. You would just apply to other universities using your grades from your foundation year. So, I mean, it's a little bit more, not of a complicated process, but it's a little bit more, you're not automatically going to know whether or not they'll accept you, because they may have to know the details of what was on the foundation year course and exactly what it entails. But that doesn't mean that you're stuck with Royal Holloway, or that you can't go anywhere else. It's just maybe not as obvious, and I completely appreciate it can be a bit frustrating when you go onto a website and want to look at an undergraduate degree that doesn't necessarily say, oh, well, we'll accept you if you have this foundation year or this foundation year or this foundation year. So you probably have to be in touch with the universities directly and provide them with your grades, and then see if you can transfer. But yeah, it is an option.
If in any doubt, make sure to check the university entry requirements, and you can always talk to their admissions department.
Yeah, exactly. So the entry requirements are the main thing that would be able to kind of decide whether or not you could get in. And the admissions department are the people that are going to be able to say yes or no to your particular foundation year and to your grades. So yeah, definitely have to check with the admissions department and check their entry requirements. And you can do that, you know, before you start your foundation year if you want to. You could say, obviously it's not for this year's entry, but in future, what would I need to get, what my grades need to be, etc., or would you accept this foundation year at all? Do the grades given on your foundation year have an A-level equivalent for transferring to a different university? I'm not sure that they do. Do they have a UCAS point equivalent? They may. I'm not sure. Sorry, I don't know that one off the top of my head, because it's quite a bit of a specific situation. But of course, when you're speaking to other universities' admissions departments, if you can just tell them the foundation year that you're doing, the grades that you've been getting, they'll have their own equivalencies for their entry requirements. So it's really very much on a case-by-case basis. Is that right? Would you guys say the same thing?
Yeah, from a very quick Google search, it appears that university level degrees don't seem to carry across UCAS points, just because of how UCAS works.
Yeah, so I don't think that they are classed as equivalent, but of course that doesn't mean that they're not worth, you know, the same kind of level. It's just about each individual university's requirements and how that matches up with what you've got. Okay, I think that's everyone's questions. Again, my last call for questions if there's any more. In the meantime, I'm just going to post some more links in the chat for you guys, because you've clearly not had enough copying and pasting of links from me. So what I'm posting now is our email address, which you can contact if you would like a recording of today's webinar. And hang on. That should be coming through any second now. And then I am also going to post a link in the chat to our kind of online visit page. So that is going to show you guys where you can go to if you fancy coming to visit Royal Holloway. So we have some online events this summer. We also have some in-person events as well. So if you are considering coming along to us for a foundation year or for an undergraduate degree, or you just want to have a look around because it's been a long year and you'd like to get outside, then please do sign up to one of our either online or in-person events, and the link to that is just in the chat. We've got no more questions in, so I just want to say a big thank you to my student ambassadors. Thank you very much, Nathaniel and Maria. It's been lovely to hear from you. Thank you to Amelia for manning the chat for us. And if you guys could just fill out the evaluation form when the webinar ends, that would be fantastic. Otherwise, thanks very much everyone for coming, and take care.